If you think getting back on the road after a huge smash is a great achievement, try coming back from 2 huge smashes and then deciding to go racing. Well, that's exactly what Roy Tansley did.
I started riding bikes when I was about 10, motorbikes at 10. I broke my back when I was 17, and that was quite severe. I was paralysed for about 4 months. And I was back on motorbikes pretty much fairly soon after getting out of hospital. As soon as I came out, I figured out a way of riding if I changed gear by hand. Yeah, I lost my leg after testing a bike for a friend, which was a 350 Yamaha power valve. Then I was cruising back into this town, and I caught a car up that was indicating right and promptly pulled over to the left and stopped. I just trickled past the car on the right and it did a U-turn into me basically. Then it sort of half fetched me foot off at the ankle, turned it round 380 degrees. Fortunately I didn't fall off because it was out in the middle of nowhere. I realised that I couldn't stop because of the amount of blood I was losing, so I carried on and went back to my hand gear changing practice. Being told that I was never going to ride or walk again was a bit like a red rag to a bull in my case, and I was just figuring out ways of riding a bike, whether I could walk or if I couldn't walk, and you know, as far as I was concerned, it wasn't an option not riding a bike.
Roy had to battle with the ACU to get a race licence. They finally gave in and granted him a sidecar licence instead of a solo licence.
I was a solo rider at heart, and that was the only option to race, and I was very driven to race, so I decided to have a bash at that. My eventual conversion was to adapt the brakes to the right foot, which I still have, and I came up with an invention of a push button gear change basically. It was developed for disabled people, but we found that the fact that it is very conducive to racing applications. For instance, we have an Irish fellow called Richard Britton who's been around the Isle of Man, has spit off 125 miles an hour actually.
Roy is the only disabled rider to have lapped the Isle of Man TT course at over 100 miles an hour. Quite an achievement.
I would say to any disabled motorcyclist or any disabled person, to be truthful, like if your interest is motorcycling, like get up and do it. There's always a way. My sort of philosophy on life is, the answer is yes. What's the question? Like, it can be done. Like, whatever you want to do can be done. You know, I was told that you can't do this, you can't walk, you can't race at the TT and whatever, and it's a little bit like a red rag to a bull to me, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people like that. So if you want to ride, it's possible, entirely possible, and we're very happy to help anybody that wishes to do that. Life is very precious to all of us, myself included. You know, I'm not a madman, or I hope I'm not. But it's also for living, and flat out down Bray Hill is certainly living.